everyone, welcome back. So today's video is a vegan Christmas treats video. I have done 4 different recipes for you to give a go. Most of these recipes are not my own, so I will link the original blogs below with the recipes so that you can follow along with my video. However, I did have a few hiccups along the way. Some of them did not turn out quite as planned, but they're all really delicious, really simple to make, and if I can do it, you can do it, so give it a go. Whoever you give these to won't even notice that they're vegan, so everyone can enjoy. And I'm going to stop babbling and let's get into the video. So to make your eggless nog, you want to start off with some almond milk. I'm using some unsweetened vanilla almond milk, but you can just use regular milk. I just got the vanilla because extra flavor. And you want 3.5 cups. I've already poured it into my blender and it's a lot, so if you have a bigger proper blender, a NutriBullet is slightly too small, but we'll see how we go. So next you want 1/2 cup of light coconut milk. Hopefully this will blend and my blender won't explode. So next you want to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So next you want to get some medjool dates. You want to pit them, make sure they don't have the seeds in the middle because that would break your blender. So I've got quite large ones. You do want big, juicy, soft ones. You could also even soak them overnight if you want them to be extra easy to blend. As you can see, my jug is quite full now and I still have to add cashews. So I may do this like 1/2 and 1/2 and then mix it together. But if you have like a Vitamix or something bigger, you'll be fine. It's just with any of the bullet sized jugs, this is too much liquid. So just bear that in mind. So then you want to add 1 cup of raw cashews. I've soaked mine as well so that they blend easier. So just pop those in. The cashews are what adds the sort of thickness and the creaminess. And this is gonna overflow. Oh God. So next you wanna add a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm gonna add a decent size because we love cinnamon in this household. You also wanna do a teaspoon of nutmeg. Try and make this one a level teaspoon because nutmeg can be quite potent if you do it too much. And then we are also doing 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. I suggest that you use ground for all of the spices just so that it mixes easier throughout the liquid. Okay, so that's everything that you need. Then you want to blend it, and once it's all blended, pour it into a jug through a sieve, and then you want to put it in the fridge because this isn't cold. I've done it in 2 halves, so now what you want to do is get a sieve and sift the liquid just into a bowl, and then put it into a jug. You can put it straight into the jug if you didn't have to do it in 2 batches, but I'm going to mix the 2 batches together and then pour it into a jug. Why can't I open any of these? Ben, I can't open it. Help. Oh, thank you. Pour them in. That is a lot of liquid. Sieve out all of your liquid and just use a spoon to move it around so the liquid passes through. So that is done, and now I'm going to transfer it into a jug. If you have a funnel, I suggest that is the easiest way to get it into a jug. It does smell really good though. I'm just gonna taste it to see, make sure before I... It's quite grainy from the spices and like some of the nuts. So if that bothers you, you could squeeze it through a nut milk bag and that'll just get rid of any of the fine grainy bits. But I'm not too fussed about that, so I'm just gonna leave it. But it tastes amazing. So now you just want to pop that in the fridge and leave it to chill. For the vegan gingerbread men, we are going to start off with 2 bowls. So you want one for the dry and one for the wet ingredients, and then we will mix the 2 together to form the dough. So starting off with the dry ingredients, you want to have some plain flour, and you want 2 1/4 cups of flour. So the next ingredient that we're adding is baking soda, and you want 1 teaspoon. Will do. Then you want 3 teaspoons of ground ginger. You also want 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of ground cloves. I love cloves so much. It just smells like Christmas to me. Almost more than cinnamon does. You want to sieve them in as well, just to make sure the mixture is nice and smooth and we don't get any lumps when we roll it out. And the last thing you want to add is about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So you can just put that straight in there. Now you just want to stir your dry ingredients together so that the mixture is well combined. And you can't see what I'm doing because of all these. So pop that aside, and now we're going to move on to our wet ingredients. So for this, you want 1/2 cup of vegan butter, ideally at room temperature. However, I did forget to do this, and I'm sure I'm not going to be the only person in this boat. So it's okay, you know, vegan butter is generally a lot softer than normal non-dairy butter that you would use for baking and stuff. So you should be fine. So you want to pop that into the bowl, and then you want to grab 1 cup of packed brown sugar. That. And then what you want to do is whip it together and combine the butter and sugar until it is creamed together. Now you could use a whisk for this or an electric mixer. I am just going to start combining it with the spoon first, and we'll see how we go. If you keep stirring, it should start to come together and form a bit of a paste. So we want to add 1/4 cup of almond milk or any non-dairy milk of your choice. We also want to add 1/4 cup of molasses. Now don't make the same mistake that I did last year and buy blackstrap molasses because you think it will be healthier. It will be healthier, but it'll taste like crap. Oh yeah, this smells way better than what I used last year. For those of you who have tried blackstrap molasses, you can understand why my gingerbread turned out so badly. And lastly, you want to add some vanilla. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of that in there. And then you want to mix that all together. You may need to give your mixture a whisk just to make sure that all of the butter and everything is mixed in well if you chose to not use an electric mixer. So now we want to combine the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and mix well. Oh, I nearly dropped it. That was a close one. So you don't want to over mix your ingredients too much. So once it's combined and you can't see any more flour or anything, then the mixture should look something like this. Now this is still too wet to be a dough. So you need to refrigerate it for 45 minutes to an hour to get it ready to roll out. Mine actually looks a lot more wet than what the girls did, where I got this recipe from. So we're gonna roll with it. I'm gonna pop it in the fridge and hopefully it sets, the butter gets a bit harder And then we are ready to roll it out. As you're popping this in the fridge, make sure that you preheat your oven as well to 160 degrees. When we get this out, we will flour the surface and get rolling. So once your gingerbread dough has set, what you want to do is remove it from the bowl and have a clean bench top to work with. And you want to put some flour on the bench and just lightly sprinkle it everywhere so that the dough doesn't stick. And you want to get your dough out of the bowl. Mine's still a bit sticky, but has gotten a lot more firm than before. And then you just want to, oh, I've got flour on my sleeve. You just want to roll it around and just knead it a bit because mine's still quite soft. So once you have kneaded it for a little bit and it's nicely covered in flour, then you want to get your rolling pin and start to roll it out. Get some more flour and make sure there's plenty of it so that it doesn't stick, even though mine has already stuck. Let's get rolling. Just make sure to keep it nice and covered in flour so that you don't end up with any bits stuck to your bench top. And you don't want to roll it out too thin, but probably about 1/2 centimeter. Now I know I've done a really odd shape here, but that is okay. You want to make sure that your gingerbread cutter is also floured so that it doesn't get too stuck. And then you want to start cutting. You'll also want to make sure that you have a baking tray and baking paper ready to pop your gingerbread men straight onto. So once you run out of room, you just want to combine the dough again and roll it back out. Make sure your surface is floured, especially if you had issues with the first lot. So this will probably make enough that you'll need 2 trays, so just bear that in mind. You may have to cook them in separate batches as well, just so that they cook through properly and you don't get like some undercooked and some burnt. If you don't want to use all of your dough straight away, you can always do half and freeze the other half for later on in the month, maybe closer to Christmas, or if you want to have some on Christmas Day, you can keep it in the freezer and then the night before you can bake them, or even the morning of. Okay, so now you want to pop your gingerbreads into the oven for 8 to 10 minutes. Let's go. So to make the vegan rum balls, firstly you want to have 325 grams of arrowroot biscuits. You want to have a tin of coconut condensed milk. They do sell this now at most supermarkets. A 1/4 cup of cocoa, and you want to have a cup of coconut, desiccated coconut, but also another cup for later on for us to roll the balls into. So with the biscuits, firstly you need to have them crushed. They need to be in a crumb-like consistency. So I saw Jamie Oliver do this once and I always wanted to do it. Where basically you put the biscuits in a tea towel and then you wrap the tea towel up like so, and then you bash it. I've had a really crappy day, so this is the best thing ever. This is very therapeutic. I'm having having the best time doing this. However, if you would like to go for the non-caveman version, a mortar and pestle will do the job. Also, depending on how fine you would like your crumbs, you may want to bash it. I may just bash mine with the pestle into the tea towel because it's already all in there, but feel free to use one if you wish. Then you just want to pop all of your crumbs into a bowl when you are happy with the consistency. I like mine to be quite fine, but if you like your rum balls extra crunchy, then by all means go light-handed with the pestle. So once we have our crumbs, then we want to add in the cocoa powder and the coconut. Now give that a mix first before you add your condensed milk, just so that everything is evenly spread out. While you're stirring, if you happen to see any bits of biscuit that look still too big, just use the back of your wooden spoon and you can just crush them up. Mine's mostly fine, but there is a couple of chunks in there. Okay, so now that the mixture is combined, we're gonna add the condensed milk, coconut milk. Oh, look at that! You want to scrape out everything that's in the tin. And once that is empty, you want to combine all of the ingredients. So once your mixture is combined, then what you want to do is grab that other cup of flour, desiccated coconut, bring it over a board just in case we have some spillage. Then you want to go and wet your hands. Once your hands are wet, then you can grab some of your mixture and hopefully will stop it sticking to your fingers and hands as much. And you want to roll them into rum ball sized balls. Once they're rolled, then you want to toss them in the coconut. So once you have finished rolling your rum balls, they should look something like this. Mine are a little soft, and if yours are as well, please pop them in the fridge. You can even pop these in the freezer until you're ready to eat them. So I'm gonna pop these in the fridge now. And for the last recipe, which is a cherry chocolate trifle, we're gonna do this in 3 parts because obviously with any trifle it is layers. So we have a cherry layer, a chocolate mousse layer, and a coconut cream layer. So we're starting off with the chocolate mousse, and the ingredients might seem a little bit strange, and I haven't tried this before, so we're gonna discover together if it's any good. So you want 2 small or 1 large ripe avocado. We have 4 frozen bananas. I've just chopped them up and put them in this container. They're not completely frozen because some of them I threw in this morning, so whatever. You want 2 pitted dates and 4 heaped tablespoons of the cocoa powder. Also a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, just for that Christmassy kick. So we're gonna pop all of the ingredients into the NutriBullet again. Start off with my dates. Next we're gonna throw in the banana. So next we want to halve the avocados, halve the avocados. Tell me if you know that song. And then we just want to scoop the flesh into here. Now I know what you're thinking, avocado in chocolate sounds weird, and I haven't personally tried any avocado chocolate mousses before, but I have heard that they're really good, so I am excited to see. what this tastes like, but I am very honest. So if this tastes like crap, I will let you know. Okay, so next we're gonna add the cocoa powder. Probably smarter to do the cocoa powder before the avocado, but I wasn't thinking. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 heaped tablespoons. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. You want to pop on the lid and whiz away. Okay, so once your chocolate mousse is blended, you want to just pop it in the fridge for now, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So the next part is the coconut cream layer. So you want to take a can of full fat coconut cream and actually refrigerate it the night before so that it's extra thick. And then we're gonna add a tablespoon of maple syrup and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to whip it with a whisk. A tablespoon. If you're too lazy to hand whisk your coconut cream, feel free to get an electric mixer, which I regret not doing. So once you have whipped up your coconut cream, again, pop that aside in the fridge, and then we're gonna move on to chopping our cherries. So I just grabbed a handful of frozen cherries and defrosted them in a sense, so they're quite soft, and you just wanna chop them up and so they're in small pieces. So once your cherries are all chopped up, they should look like this. Now we're ready to layer. Okay, so you wanna have your cherries, your cream, and your chocolate mousse all out, and you wanna have 4 serving glasses. Oh God. You want to try and not be as messy as what I'm being. Then you want to spoon some of the coconut cream. Mine did not go quite as thick as what it's supposed to be. I did realize that the recipe asked for coconut milk instead of coconut cream to make a coconut cream, so I'm not exactly sure. Alternatively, you could also use coconut yogurt, because that might be a hell of a lot easier than doing what I did. And lastly, you just want to spoon some of the cherries on top. I don't think I have enough cherries, and my cream is not thick enough, so this is a bit of a fail. And then you just want to pop some cherries on top for garnish. So there you have it. Those are all of my vegan Christmas treats. I hope that you do give some of these a try. I think that the trifle was a bit of a fail, but it looks really tasty. I haven't actually tried it yet, so maybe I should try that now for you. But the gingerbread and the rum balls and the eggnog is really, really good. The eggnog, I would recommend getting a nut milk bag or something like that, because it is a little bit grainy without it, and I think to be more like true eggnog, I think it needs to be smoother, so definitely do that. But all of these things were really easy to make and super tasty, really good for the festive season. So I do hope that you give them a go. Like I said, the recipes and the links to the blogs will be down below. But thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed it and I've inspired you to get cooking in the kitchen for Christmas. I think that's all I have to say for now. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel so you don't miss any more of my Christmas videos. And I will see you in my next one.